Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. Newly obtained documents from the West Virginia State Police provide new details for us tonight about what went wrong when a schizophrenic man died in West Virginia State Police custody back in February of 2023 in Martinsburg. Anna Saunders has been following this story for us all along. She's live to tell us what a recent Freedom of Information Act request has revealed about this investigation. Anna.
Gina, the three state troopers who had a reported struggle with 45-year-old Edmund Exline along I-81 in Martinsburg were cleared of all criminal wrongdoing, both at the state and federal level. But a 55-page report that I received through a FOIA request shows state police's internal investigation into this. It reveals there were miscommunications, violations of policy, and a problematic history from one of the troopers involved. And I do want to warn you, the images and audio from the body camera video are graphic.
It's February 12th of last year, just before 10 o'clock in Martinsburg. What you're seeing here is the body camera footage from Trooper Thomas Ellis on his way to I-81 in Martinsburg, responding to a call about an intoxicated man walking along the interstate. This is where he finds 45-year-old Edmund Exline.
Get your hands out of your pocket! Get your hands out of your pocket! Do it now! Get over in front of my car! Get in front of my car!
It's this initial response from Ellis of immediately pulling his gun and pointing it at Exline that both the defense tactics instructor at the state police and a first lieutenant called inconsistent with training and policy in an internal review.
Robbie, we're chasing down 81. Give me another unit. Stop it.
The report goes on to say that Ellis's response to Exline running was reasonable, but that later, after he gets Exline to the ground by tasing him multiple times, this is when the reviewing troopers say Ellis should have put him in handcuffs and that he makes no attempts to do so. In his request for backup, both Trooper Abraham Bean and Trooper Brandon Mason can be seen here leaving the Martinsburg detachment to help him. But on the way there, the Romney 911 Center is unsure of what the two are responding to. This is a point, according to the report and testimony from Bean and Mason, where it sounds like Ellis is saying he has been shot.
Romney 594, what's your status? Romney, are you 594? Are you advising you've been hit?
Then it's radio silence from Ellis. Once the other troopers arrive, Bean said in his testimony he came on scene with the idea that Exline had Ellis's gun and that Ellis had been hurt, which was not the case. This, according to Bean's testimony, is why he then hits Exline with a flashlight and uses what troopers call compliance strikes, punching him repeatedly. The video shows Exline getting hit and tased multiple times throughout the struggle.
Ow! Give me your hands! Put your hands behind your back!
Once they announce Exline is secure and handcuffed, multiple agencies arrive on scene. They eventually attempt to get him up, and he becomes unresponsive. CPR begins, and there are even 2 attempts to Narcan Exline. An ambulance picks him up, but it's said on scene he has no pulse.
You got a pulse? So you got nothing?
The report from state police reveals more details about the autopsy for Exline, that he died of multiple blunt force injuries, multiple discharges from a taser, psychiatric illness with agitation, and heart disease. His toxicology report showed traces of cannabis and antipsychotic meds. As we know from family, Exline had schizophrenia.
So what did he say when he got out with him? His eyes. It was all in his eyes. Bloodshot, watery. He acting erratic.
Okay.
And he started digging his hands in his pockets. So initially I drew on him, and then
He's gone. It's all right.
man.
It's your fault.
The 3 troopers were not criminally charged in Exline's death. In the internal complaints, all 3 troopers were accused of violating 2 West Virginia State Police policies: unnecessary force and interfering with the rights and properties of others. Because they were under the impression Ellis had been shot, the complaints against Bean and Mason were not sustained. But the 2 were sustained against Ellis. The report reveals Ellis had a history of pulling his weapon, escalating situations the trooper said didn't require it. In fact, the report details 3 instances before Exline, including a traffic stop and 2 domestic disturbance calls where he drew his weapon without any perceived threat. In the report, it says Ellis has a, quote, propensity to draw his weapon during periods of heightened awareness when the circumstances do not necessarily warrant, ultimately escalating the situation.
Stand over here. Get in front of my car.
Though this case was initially reported in February 2023, it received new attention in the spring and summer of that year as the state police as a whole was under intense scrutiny from Governor Jim Justice for various misconduct allegations. Taking a second look at this case was part of it.
I've seen the video. The video is very, very concerning.
Previous State Police Superintendent Jan Cahill, who resigned in the wake of the statewide probe, even expressed his concern on Talk Line with Hoppy Kircheball.
The video was not great at all, but the audio concerned me right off the bat. The commands, the screaming.
As for Exline's family, they received a $1 million settlement from the state in a wrongful death and excessive force lawsuit.
He should still be here. There's no reason why this should have happened.
Attorney John Mark Atkinson represented the family in this case.
Could have been avoided by just simply being reasonable and talking to him. He immediately draws a gun, heightens the situation, pulls a taser, tases him. I mean, at each step, they could have taken steps to calm the situation down, escalate, or de-escalate the situation, and chose to do the opposite at each turn.
Though he was surprised there were not criminal charges, Atkinson said, if anything, the hope now is that state police will take this situation and learn from it.
That's the hope and the goal, that the state police would take major change in the way they approach these situations moving forward.
Now, in state code for Group 3 offenses, which are the 2 that the internal investigation did find Trooper Ellis in violation of, they carry a punishment of either suspension or discharge. I did reach out to state police for an interview and comment on this to both find out the employment status, particularly with Ellis, and see if any potential training or policy changed because of this case. I have not received a response, but weeks ago when I did the story on the body camera footage, I was told then in a statement that all troopers were cleared of any wrongdoing, both criminally and administratively. Live in the studio, Anna Saunders, Eyewitness News.